What's going on, everybody? This is Living in Arizona Now, and today we are going to talk about whether or not Arizona is still a quality place to live. So, is Arizona a good place to live? We're going to turn it over to you guys in the audience, and I'm going to do my best to answer that question using some data. We're going to talk about everything from the weather to the public transportation situation to taxes. That's a big thing, especially this time of year. If you guys can see and hear what's going on, please say something in the comments so I know that this is coming in loud and clear. I'm seeing one person coming in, so thank you to that person who hit the like button. We're also going to talk about nature and the water situation and also turn it over to you guys out in the audience who are going to share some of that information with us as well. If you guys are new to this channel, we just posted some really good videos here recently. 11 small towns, that's 11 of them. So I've posted a link to the comment section there at pinned to the top. If you guys haven't already seen the 11 small towns in Arizona that we recommend for 2023, go ahead and click that link or just do so after the video. Go to the homepage right there. You can also see the best places to stay and to live in Arizona. So the first thing we're going to talk about is going to be the water situation, because this is the most commonly asked question that we get. So if you go to ArizonaWaterFacts.com, this is right on their website. It says Arizona is a visionary of water planning and management, from water supply projects to innovative programs including drought preparedness, underground water storage, 100-year water supply requirements, mandatory conservation programs. So before Arizona was allowed to grow any further, it had to have over a 100-year water supply requirement that was put in there. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in. We got Ralph, we got Mario, we got April, Unique Critic, and some more people. Mark, Lori, thanks to everyone who's tuning in here. So they say that we're running low on Lake Mead, and you can see the elevation of the water level here at Lake Mead. It keeps going down, down, down. Colorado River is going lower, and even on the City of Phoenix website, they're saying Colorado River water shortage caused by climate change will require Phoenix and Phoenicians to adapt. So we're getting mixed signals. 3 or 4 years ago, we were told Arizona had enough water for 100 years, in particular Phoenix. Now we're being told, well, we're not so sure about that. So I don't know what exactly changed, because the climate hasn't exactly changed drastically. I mean, I would say in 2022, we got quite a bit of rain out here, but something's going on. If you guys have any information on why the flip-flopping on water crisis in Arizona is going on, you should let us know in the comments. I'd be interested to hear what you guys know. But they went from saying we have 100 years worth to now saying, well, we've got a little bit of a problem with Colorado. From what I can tell, the Salt River is still doing really good, so that's a good thing. If we go to Cronkite News on the subject of jobs, they're saying Arizona added 100,000 jobs in 2022, but home prices limiting growth, economist warns. Well, Arizona still grew a lot in 2022, even though we really peaked out in May. May was our peak for housing prices, and ever since then, they've kind of gone down. Although I've heard from a few real estate agents recently, more than one, a few, that for some reason, the demand is still there, and it kind of bounced back in January or December and November, with prices kind of recovering a bit because the demand went up. Something happens in the wintertime where people are like, I don't want to live in a cold place in the winter, so I'm going to move to Arizona. Are you guys one of those people out there? Thanks to the 27 people who smashed the likes. You guys asked for some more live streams, so I'm going to try and give you what you want. Also, on my other channel, I will say, Island Hopper TV, if you haven't already seen, you should go over there, Island Hopper TV. We just did a bunch of tours all across Phuket, Thailand, Chiang Mai. We went to Turkey. We went to the Caribbean, of course, India even. But I'm going to be doing some more traveling with that, so I'm not always going to be able to do live streams, but I will try to do them as much as I can. I'm just letting you know, if you're trying to find me, that's where I'll be, Island Hopper TV. If you haven't already subscribed, go over there and do so. But anyway, let's talk about this job growth that's there. Obviously, we have the tech data centers that are being built over by Williams Gateway Airport. If you haven't gone out there, just go out there. You'll see there's a lot of data centers being built out there. They don't exactly say if that's Google or if that's Apple or who's building the data centers, but there's some seriously big ones. I was just over there. Lots of construction. They don't like you taking pictures or videos, so I didn't exactly get the videos that I wanted to. They were like, hey, why are you guys taking videos over here? So I don't know about that. Anyway, next thing that we're going to talk about is going to be the taxes, since this is a big subject, especially right now. So, how does Arizona fare in terms of taxes? Well, turns out Wyoming's the best place to be if taxes are a big concern for you. Julie says, not sure what you're talking about. It's freezing cold in southern Arizona. Yeah, southern Arizona gets cold. It's southern Arizona is about 5,000 feet elevation in multiple places. I think she was talking about someone else. But Jamie says, I'm in Minnesota, lots of snow here. Wish I was in Arizona. Oh, she was responding to that. Yeah, we got lots of snow like 5 days ago in Phoenix. It was snowing like crazy in Camp Verde where my mom lives. She was sending me videos. I was like, this is nuts. And, I was like, it's sunny down here, but it was cold. Like this week in Phoenix has been chilly. But let's talk about the taxes. Stay on subject, right? You guys like when we stay on subject. Thanks to 39 people who smashed the like button. So Wyoming, Nevada, Alaska, Florida, Tennessee, I would imagine Texas has got to be on here. But Arizona gets a B grade. I mean, we're up there, and it looks like we're up in at least the top 10, top 15 for overall tax rate. So even though it feels like Arizona's taxing the heck out of you, it's still not as bad as some other places, which is more of a testament to how overtaxed America's really become. I mean, think about this, guys. I mean, I would be surprised if any of you actually don't think we pay a lot of taxes. You have a property tax, you have a luxury tax, you have a capital gains tax, you have a income tax, you have a sales tax, you have a tax on top of a tax on top of a tax. Even when you go to prepare your taxes, you have to pay an accountant depending on how much transactions you had to do your taxes. I mean, we are heavily taxed. Like, it is not a simple process. And, some people are saying flat tax. I've always said a 10%, 15% flat tax just across the board, make it simple. That would be called simplifying the tax code, and no one's going to go overseas to some place that does because that's what the billionaires do. The reason we don't get any billionaire revenues is because they just go overseas with it. Hello. It's like, oh, well, we'll just go to overseas tax haven and do business there. Like Facebook, I think, is in Ireland. There's a bunch of this going on. But anyway, it's good to see that Arizona is not the most taxed, even though it feels like we get quite a bit of taxes. Someone said 2% tax here in Arizona. I don't think so. I think right here it says tax of income 6.8%. I know if you have a business, it's like 4.5%. So I don't know, man. It's whatever. I always get kind of giddy and excited when I see people come into the chat and say, "Oh man, I like paying taxes. I don't mind paying taxes. I like to see my money go to the government." People actually have said that. My aunt is one of them. My aunt, she told me she likes to pay taxes, and I literally was like, that was probably the most unique thing I've ever heard anyone in my life say. But she's not alone. Like, there's people out there who believe that we need more taxation, and some of them are in our government. Anyway, rant over on taxes, but it's good to see Arizona's not the worst. It's actually in the top 10, top 15. So the next thing that we need to talk about is crime. How does Arizona stack up in terms of crime? You can see violent crime rates per 100,000 inhabitants. It looks like Arizona is kind of up there. There are places in Arizona that have higher crime and less crime. Scottsdale, I would say crime is almost not really existent. I mean, you get an occasional crazy situation that happens in Scottsdale, but for the most part, you're going to get high crime in other parts of Phoenix, like North Phoenix, which is right next to Scottsdale. You're going to get some high crime in Glendale area, even Tempe. Tempe ranks kind of high up there. Mesa also, like I live out here in Mesa, I'll hear sirens pretty much every night. I'll hear the ghetto bird, as we call it, the helicopter, the police helicopter. It's flying over my house. I haven't seen it like shine the light too much lately, but it does get some crime. But there are places in Arizona that have like virtually no crime. When something happens, everyone's like, "Whoa, did you hear what happened?" It's like the gossip of the town because it doesn't happen very much. But then there's places where it happens like every day. So we'll see what happens with that. Thanks to the 51 people who smashed the like button. So we've just talked about crime. We've talked about public transportation next, right? So how does Arizona do on transportation? We do good if you like cars. If you are somebody who's like, man, I don't want to ride anything sitting next to anyone else. I just want to get in my car and have my privacy and drive all around Arizona, the big state of Arizona, and pay those nice gas prices. If that's for you, then Arizona is going to match with you like you guys are going to be two peas in a pod. Now, if you're one of those types of people who likes to, have efficient public transportation, it doesn't exist here unless you consider the airport to be public transportation, which commercial aviation could be public transport, I suppose. Sky Harbor is considered one of the top airports in the country. I will give it that. But when it comes to light rail, no one who has a job really wants to ride the light rail. And the reason is because when you get on the light rail, you are around a bunch of people who might scare you. And I'm not saying that to be rude, but there are people who get on the light rail who are not very mentally stable. So no one who has a job wearing a suit is going to get on the Phoenix Valley Metro system. And the way that you could fix that is you would basically have to put in something that you'd have to have like a route that is you got to pay a little bit more for, but you get the safety and security, and then more business people would use it. Plus, it should probably move faster. The light rail is not really intended to go long range, but the way it functions right now, you go from Mesa to downtown Phoenix with stops in between and like Tempe. No one's going to take that long range because they can just get in a car and haul butt over there. Like if I was to want to go to Sky Harbor on the Valley Metro, it would take me a long time. I just get a lift, okay? But, these are complaints that we have. These are relevant complaints to me. I don't know if they're so relevant to you, but Phoenix public transportation, riding buses. But the biggest problem is urban sprawl. Even if they did have something that was in place, you're still dealing with low population density in most areas. And that's a big thing that we need to work on in Phoenix and Tucson is concentration of population in areas kind of like more Rio Salado areas, Tempe, downtown areas, where people are more congested. And the reason is because pedestrians don't really like walking around Phoenix. It's dangerous to be a pedestrian walking around anywhere in Phoenix or Tucson because people are always hauling butt. And the reason they're hauling butt is because they're trying to get from Chandler to Glendale in a relatively decent amount of time. So what do you guys think? We just touched on public transportation, taxes, jobs, water. Some of the good things about living in Arizona is we still have our beautiful nature. And that is an underrated subject because Southern Arizona has its gems. If you really were into nature, it would take you quite a while to explore everything that Southern Arizona has. And I'll give you some ideas. Just exploring the Chiricahuas, that's amazing. You could go over here to Patagonia, where they have Madera Canyon right over here by Mount Wrightson. You have Cave of the Bells. I mean, these little things that you find on Google are really amazing. They also have some other caves like Karshner Caverns. Those are all in southern Arizona. Then you have Mount Graham, which is where the Vatican has their observatory. You can see the Vatican's observatory right there. They call it, see it says Vatican Advanced Technologies Telescope. They call it, I think they call it Lucifer. That's a weird name for a telescope, isn't it? But, light up the sky, luminescent, I guess is why they probably did that. But yeah, that's just southern Arizona, and that's not even talking about all the great things you have in northern Arizona. So the nature in Arizona is pristine. It is amazing. So, obviously you know about the Grand Canyon. You have Sedona. You have everything around the reservations with Canyon de Chelly. You have the Four Corners area. Great hiking, like Ralph just said. We have some great hiking out there. Flagstaff has some great hiking. You go around here, you'll be surprised. You see all this? This is all volcano. Sunset Crater Volcano National Monument, $100 Hill. I mean, if you haven't gone over here, you should go up there. It's like another world out there. It's all old volcanoes. It's kind of like what I saw in Hawaii, right? Deacon MMA says White Mountains near Pine Top are amazing. Yeah, that and then that's a whole other region that's worth checking out right out here by the Apache Sitgreaves. That's Pine Top Lakeside. You got Show Low. We mentioned Show Low in our top 11 towns video. If you haven't already seen that, I did pin the link to the top. You can click on that. But right here, it's best small towns in Arizona 2023. We put 11 in there. That's just to help you guys who want to get out of the big city, because we all know if you're living in Phoenix or Tucson, you're stuck right in there in some gridlock, and that can really wear on you day after day, where you're just like, I want to get in nature, but I want to get in a nature where there's trees, because Arizona or Phoenix in particular, Tucson, desert, like a barren wasteland at times, can be a bit draining, right? It's like they say not too many great ideas come out of Arizona. It's not known for like big thinking. And if you think about it, it's like, well, it's a desert. I mean, not too much fertility in the desert. That includes thoughts and inspirations, right? Whereas like places like what is this, Seattle or Silicon Valley, you know, they have more trees, so they have more fertility in the seeds and the soil, but also in the thoughts. Phoenix doesn't really get too much creativity in the thoughts. I'm not going to sit here and say that you or I or any of us are not deep thinkers, because I'm sure some of you consider yourselves to be intellectuals. But if you think about it, we're a desert. It's not exactly known. It's kind of known as a brain drain, to be completely honest with you. And I say that as someone who lives here. I mean, I noticed a difference in just my imagination living in California when I was in the military, and even when I was living in Hawaii, just in just thoughts, just having more expansive thoughts. When I'm in Phoenix, it's like not an area where you get too much creativity, but you can get creativity in places like Sedona or in the White Mountains or Flagstaff area, just getting up there, walking around in nature. Mama Max says, Graham, I have heard great things about Tucson. Yeah, Tucson has some great things. Yum says, Globe is an interesting place. Wouldn't want to live there. No, I wouldn't want to live in Globe either. I mean, unless I had one of these like homes up on the hill. We did put Globe in the list. For those of you who have never been to Globe, when they say it's interesting, it is interesting. It's an old mining town, and it's still actually active with Freeport-McMoRan. Freeport-McMoRan is one of our biggest companies in the state of Arizona. It's a big mining outfit that's actually international, but they're headquartered right there in downtown Phoenix. I actually stayed at the hotel called the Westin Hotel. If you guys go down there, you'll see the Westin Hotel. That's in the Freeport-McMoRan building. But you see all this land that's carved out right here? This is all Freeport-McMoRan mining, okay? Some of it's old, some of it's new, but you can still see, look at, they got Freeport right here. That's a Freeport pit. You can't go in those pits. I don't even know if you can get a tour of those up in Globe. If you wanted to see an awesome pit, you'd have to go down to Bisbee. They do have the Copper Queen right here. You can go into this pit. It's called the Lavender Pit, Sacramento Pit. You can go on the Queen Mine tour right there. That's a big hole in the ground. And it's definitely interesting to see what's going on down there. But most of the thing they're extracting out of there is what? Well, we're the copper state, okay? But copper is not the only thing that comes out of here. We have silver and gold, but we're mostly known for copper. The 5 C's. What are the 5 C's? Anyone in the audience want to tell me what the 5 C's are? If you don't know, I will tell you in about 30 seconds, but I'm going to see if anyone wants to get it right with the 5 C's of Arizona. This is something they teach you in elementary school. Governor Doug Ducey used to talk about it, but we'll see if anyone here is going to have the answer to the 5 C's. Anyone eager to know? Well, I'll tell you here in a second. It's cattle, citrus, copper, climate, and, oh, wait, ooh. Someone give me the 5th one. It starts with the C. I said cotton, right? Cotton, climate, citrus, copper, and cattle. Those are the 5. There you go. Looks like no one wanted to take a crack at it. Unless there's a lag on the cabbage. Carl says cabbage. Yeah, I'm not going to say that word, but overdue buzz. Probably close to getting that one right. Mark says, for 15 years of teaching experience, I was put in step 5 in the Scottsdale district. They don't value experience. So sad that all the higher ups and admin are making all the money. Okay. Susan said, decades ago, after moving from Illinois to Southern California, I called it the Sun Belt mentality. Yeah, it's interesting because most of the intellectual thought, even in the world, happens in colder places. There's something about that hibernation that takes place, whereas the people who live in like the equatorial regions or people who live in sunny climates don't tend to get as deep into intellectual thought as someone, say, from England or Germany or Sweden or even Korea or wherever they're at where it's higher up. Canadians even seem to be a little bit more intellectual than Americans. And I'm not saying that as a downside. I'm just saying, like, when I talk to Canadians, they seem to be a little bit more philosophical than us Americans because we get more sunshine down here. That's one way to look at it. Scott said canyon. Alice said cactus. Coyote. I mean, those are 8 C's right there. See, we can keep going up. Deacon MMA says off-grid property is still dirt cheap in Arizona. Yeah, you can still get cheap off-grid property. Where are you looking, Deacon? I mean, even if we say it, it's got 153 people here that are watching. It's not like we're going to give away all the secrets to all the cheap property that's going to skyrocket. Most people will go up there and they don't even want to live there. But St. John's, if you're looking for cheap property, go out to eastern Arizona, out there by New Mexico. It's just south of the Hopi Reservation and to the west of the Zuni Reservation. If you go north of Show Low towards St. John's, you can find, I think, about $1,000 an acre out there. Yeah, Apache County has cheap land. Also, they have some cheap land out there by Holbrook. You can find some cheap land. I've definitely seen it before. We've done videos on it, too, on these cheap land areas. Snowflake, you can find some cheap land in Snowflake. Also, where was the place? There was Heber Overguard has some cheap land. Where I'd want cheap land, if I could find it, would be nice. There's this little village right here. It's called Forest Lakes. If you guys can get cheap land in Forest Lakes, that's a nice place if you don't mind 4 seasons. It's a lot cooler. It's a good place to have a cabin. So if you ever go up onto the Mogan Rim, go out to Forest Lakes. It's just up the Mogan Rim past Woods Canyon Lake. Has anyone been to Forest Lakes? I mean, it's a bit out there, but that's an area that I like. I also kind of like this place right here, Whispering Pines. Getting homes, like people living up in here in Whispering Pines. It's a little bit further past Strawberry. There's Star Valley right there. I'm not a big fan of Star Valley, but I do like right here at the foothills of the Mogan Rim. That's a nice area to be if you guys get a chance. This is actually where they had the Dude Fire. You remember the Dude Fire? That was a big fire. They get fires out there every once in a while, so hopefully if you do build out there, you're got fire insurance. But people like this pine, strawberry, but the land's not cheap. It's expensive. But that's where I would take a look. If I was to go out that way, I'd go Whispering Pines or Forest Lakes. There's also some cheap land if you're willing to do a little bit of driving on the dirt. I like Crown King. We've talked about Crown King a few times. We actually did a video where we took the Senator Highway. If you haven't already seen that video and you like off-roading, just go to my channel. Just go to the channel here and type in. Let's see here. I'm gonna type in. Crown King. Let's see. Yeah, this one right here. Awesome off-road trail, Crown King to Prescott. It's got 165,000 views. But let me tell you about this one. So you basically head up I-17 and then around this area called the Bumblebee. So you take the Bumblebee Dirt Road up here to Crown King. And when you get up to Crown King, you could take the road from Crown King right across the Bradshaw Mountains here, Potato Patch, Groom Creek, right into Prescott. It takes about 2.5 to 3 hours, and you do need an off-road vehicle, and I'm not playing games with you because you're not going to have cell phone service out there. You're not going to have any sort of access to any... I mean, occasionally you'll have a car drive by you, but if you get a flat tire or stuck up there, you're stuck. You're stuck. It's one of those kind of places. Like I said, go watch the video, and you'll see just how rough that road is. So the minimum that you would take should be like a truck. It could be I'm not going to sit here and say you could take any old truck up there because that would probably not be a good idea. But 4x4, highly recommended. Also having a spare tire in the back, also recommended. But yeah, you will come out 3 hours later from Crown King into Prescott, 2.5 hours later. Beautiful out there, and they do have cheap land. The reason I'm saying that is because you guys out there in the audience like cheap land. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to make this video. Thanks to 88 people who smashed the like button. I can keep going, or we can call it right here. I could do more of these, but Morgan says, what do I think about Rio Rico? Well, let's talk about Rio Rico. I'm a big fan of the climate down in Rio Rico and in Nogales area. So here you have Rio Rico, you have Patagonia right here, you have Sonoyta Creek natural area. It's beautiful out there. I really like northern Mexico. I was talking to someone who's from Mexico. She was telling me that she's from Mexico City, been living in Arizona, and we were talking about Mexico. I was like, she asked me if I like Mexico. I'm like, I love Mexico. I think Mexico is great. I just wish it was a little bit safer. And she was telling me a story how she had a little bit of a run-in with the police down there in Nogales on the Mexican side. And she was saying, she's from Mexico. They basically said, give me money, this and that. But we both agree that Mexico is a beautiful place. The people of Mexico are very friendly. Majority of them, like 95% of people in Mexico are friendly, family-oriented, great people. The food is great. The culture is great. But the terrain is also incredible. And if you ever got a chance to explore Sonora or this area, they actually have a really deep canyon out here, out in this area. So just this area, but no one really goes there because it's kind of like cartel country. But if you ever got a chance to go south of Nogales into Sonora and right into here, you'd be amazed at what's out there. I mean, this is some of the most untouched, just beautiful countryside you'll see anywhere in the world, really. And it's right there up in the mountains. It's high elevation, but low in terms of the latitude and longitude. But yeah, a lot of people always telling me that when they went down to Mexico, they got the police. Basically, the story is with the police, they stop you. They'll say something like, you rolled the stop sign, blah, blah, blah. And they'll say, okay, well, we need to take you down to the police station. And then they'll say, and then you'll say, well, can I give you money right now and just pay for it now? And they'll be like, how much? And then typically the going rate is like, I think it used to be like $25 to $50. Now it's up to $80. And then they'll say like, well, there's 2 cops, so you got to pay 2 cops, $80. But you might say, well, I only have 20 each. I only have $40 on me. And then they'll say, okay, put it in the piece of paper, and they'll go back to their car to run the registration, and they'll be like, okay, bye. I mean, it's not funny, actually. I laugh because of the situation being so unique like that, but it's disappointing in the sense that, you want to go down there and explore this area of beautiful Mexico, but, getting through Nogales or getting through the border can be a bit difficult, not just because of the police, there's also cartel activity. And if you have too much of a nice chain or nice car with rims, don't even think about going down there with anything nice, really, because you're just going to make yourself a target. And my friend from Mexico who I was talking to, who actually cut my hair, she was sharing most of this information. And we both agree, we love Mexico. Like, I love Mexico. It's great, man. It's just it's one of my favorite countries in all the world, seriously. It's just, we just wish it was a little bit safer. I think everyone wishes it could be a little bit safer. Morgan says, I'm following your travel channel too, waiting to see you get to Montenegro. I just went to Montenegro. I was in Montenegro you're talking about on Island Hopper. Yeah, I went there. I went to, what's the name of the cities? Tohor, Kotor. Yeah, Montenegro is amazing, man. Montenegro is great. Latanya says, I won't go to Mexico. I'm actually going to go back down to Mexico here soon, to be honest with you. I am going back down to Cabo. I'm going to try to go to Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, and I'm also going to go down to Quintana Roo probably, and then down to Belize, and then into the Caribbean. That's my plan coming up. So it'll be like Southern Baja, this area of Nayarit or Sinaloa, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta. Like I said, if you guys are looking for me, that's where I'll be, is on Island Hopper, filming those places. That's not going to be on this go-round, because this go-round, I'm going to California. I haven't been to California for a while, and we're going to make some videos out there to see what's going on. See, everyone's like, oh, man, I wouldn't go to California. Well, you got to go to California every once in a while. Carl says, you hired your security detail. Well, I went down to Mexico in 2021 quite a bit, and 2020 I went down to Mexico. I like Mexico, man. I was in Mexico for 3 months or 3 weeks. Just last time I went, I really like Playa del Carmen, to be honest with you. That's one of my favorites. Tulum's an amazing place to stay. But yeah, there is that element of a little bit of like, hey, is this place safe? And when you're trying to relax, it can be a bit difficult. Yeah, the place that most people in Arizona go is right here, Puerto Penasco. People still go down here all the time. It's a beautiful desert. Like, imagine Phoenix meeting the ocean, and there's a lot of wildlife in the water out here. There's a lot of marine mammals in the water out here. There's you get killer whales, great white sharks, all sorts of different sharks. You get a lot of fish. The Baja, the Gulf of California, as they call it. So here's the Baja, here's mainland Mexico, and right up in here is the Gulf of California, which basically was carved out, in my opinion, by the Colorado River, because here's the Colorado River Delta. Before they dammed up the Colorado, that's where it was all dumping into the ocean right there. Sea of Cortez. Okay, people call it Sea of Cortez or Gulf of California, yes. But you could see, like, if they never dammed up the Colorado, I mean, this probably would have kept eroding up further into, like, the Salton Sea. I mean, the Salton Sea is already pretty low down there. Mike says, is Tucson a good place to live? Seems like rent there is affordable. Phoenix and Flag is not. Here's what Tucson has that makes it better than Phoenix, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's better than Phoenix, but this is what it has that are some advantages. It's 5 to 10 degrees cooler on average than Phoenix. So the climate is a little bit better. It's a little bit higher elevation, which makes it a little bit better weather. Also, I really like the amount of wildlife that comes into your yard, especially if you're in the foothills. Like out there, you'll get javelinas, bobcats, mountain lions. Some people will say, I'm good on mountain lions. I'm good on bobcats. Well, then don't live in the foothills in Tucson. You'll be okay. If you live in the city, it's all good. But if you live in the foothills in Phoenix, or if you live in the foothills in Tucson, you're going to see more wildlife in Tucson, just overall. Javelinas, rattlesnakes, different kind of snakes. They have king snakes, bull snakes, jackrabbits, owls, lots of different animals. By the way, there is a sighting starting to happen lately where they're starting to find jaguars again in Arizona. Like, jaguars are being discovered in this area of southern Arizona around, I think, the Chiricahuas. So this area right here, the Chiricahuas, they had some sightings. They have a name for the jaguar that they saw on a cam. So someone has a wildlife cam, they put it out there, and they spotted a jaguar more than once. So there's like a jaguar that lives out there, and there could be more than one. But that's kind of cool to see that there's the jaguars are coming back, because jaguars used to live here. There's also an interesting tale or a myth that could be real, it could be fake, of a thunderbird. Let me show you guys a picture of a thunderbird. So, thunderbird. Okay, so this was shot, so thunderbird Tombstone. So they shot a thunderbird, okay, thunderbird Tucson. I want to show you guys this so you can tell me if you think it's real or fake. Oh, wait, not Tucson, Tombstone. Wait till you see this. Okay, so this picture, people want to know, is it real or is it fake? Let me see if I can open it up a little bit more. So you guys know down in Central Phoenix by Moon Valley, they have Thunderbird High School, Thunderbird Road. Well, this would actually be a Thunderbird. And they say that these things used to exist. I don't know if it's true or not, but you can see that's a big bird. And this right here, if these existed, I mean, that would make sense why they call them Thunderbird. That's a huge bird. I think it's called a petrodactyl. But this was in Tombstone they shot this. Now, with that being said, some of the best bird watching in America, actually in the world, some of the best bird watching, there's such a variety of birds in this area called Cave Creek. Not Cave Creek north of Phoenix, okay, because people confuse it. But out here in the Chiricahuas, in this place called Cave Creek, if you're a bird watcher, you go camping out here at Sunny Flat Campground, Stewart Campground, you can see Cave Creek Visitor Center, okay? And they say it's got some of the most diverse amount of birds. But it's really incredible out there. This is another one of those places you can go out in southern Arizona that's just teeming with life and action and nature. It's the Chiricahuas. Hampson says, crush up the likes. Thank you, Hampson. Morgan says, I believe it. Yeah, that is interesting. You guys are talking about that that pterodactyl thunderbird. That's Tombstone. So that's Chiricahuas. Tombstone is basically right here. So there's the Chiricahuas and here's Tombstone. I mean, as the crow flies, I mean, it's 70 miles away max. There's Bisbee right here. So good area to go for birds in the Chiricahuas, even out here. But like I said, I mean, Sonora is where I really want to explore, Sonora, Mexico. Chiricahuas are beautiful. If you guys haven't seen the Chiricahuas, we did a video on the Chiricahuas. Yes, we do have a video for that. But right here, Portal, that's the town. We mentioned that in our best small towns video right here. We did Tubac, and then we did Portal. Where's Portal? Portal is the name. That's actually one of the best places to view stars in the country because it's so dark out there. There's no light pollution. But here's Portal. This is kind of what you'd get out there by Cave Creek and Portal. I mean, no one really goes out there. It's far from everything. It's small town. I mean, we're talking less than 1,000 people. I think like 500 people live there, okay? But it's an amazing environment. It's an underrated place that only people who watch this channel probably know about, really, because no one else has really been talking about Portal or Cave Creek. And actually, the way I got tuned into it, one of the viewers out in the audience was like, hey, you need to go down there and check it out. And I was like, yeah, I was down at the Chiricahuas. And they're like, no, you need to go to the other side of the Chiricahuas, and you need to go to Portal. And they also have the Chiricahua National Monument, which is a cool place. That's where they get these weird rocks right here. You can see these rocks. The hiking out here is insane. I mean, it's like, it's on level with what you would find in Sedona. Like, if you're looking for crazy hikes, you'll find some crazy hikes out here in the Chiricahuas. For those of you who like to get out there and explore, though, as the Thunderbird flies. Yeah, as the Thunderbird flies. It's hard to imagine if there was Thunderbirds that big just cruising around out here, and there was jaguars and who knows what other kind of animals. We all know about the Cotamundi. You guys ever heard about that tale about the Mogan Monster? There's like supposedly like a Bigfoot fable or a fairy tale or whatever you want to call it, where supposedly up here in the Mogollon Rim, there was it's called the Mogan Monster. There's like stories about this creature that existed, and that's its name. I could see why. I mean, they say they've seen like dead deer that look like something was sucking the blood out of its neck, and that's out here. It's like an abominable snowman of Arizona. You guys ever heard of it? Anyways, so I can keep going, or you guys can call it here. But thanks to 121 people who smashed the likes. Joshua Tree National Park, the monument, is what natives call is best stargazing outside of Arizona. Yeah, Joshua Tree is definitely good. A place that you can go real easy if you want stars is just up there on the Mogollon Rim. You go up on the Mogollon Rim right here, right where, let's see here. You go up right here to Woods Canyon Lake and camp it. Sinkhole Campground, Rim Campground, Mogollon Campground, any of these campgrounds. At night, you look up into the stars and you're going to be like, dang, what is going on out here? Or you could just get a cabin up at Forest Lakes. I was just talking about Forest Lakes. You should run a meetup when the weather gets better. Yeah, I've thought about doing meetups. It's just, like I said, I travel so much. But it would be good if everyone could get together and do a meetup and really explore Arizona the proper way. Because once you start to do it, it's like you don't even really need to leave Arizona. There's so much out here. Another area that I haven't even really talked about on this channel that I want to explore even more is this one out here. Let's see. It's out by Young. So we didn't put this on the list of small towns, but I'll tell you, I asked my dad, who's been living in Arizona, like all his life. He's like 60, like at least 55 years plus. He moved here when he was 7, okay? But I said, Dad, where would you want to live if you could live anywhere in Arizona? And he said, Young. I say it right there, Young. And on the map, it doesn't look that great, but if you take this road from Roosevelt Lake up to Back Road, 288, you get this scenic overlook right here, right? Looking down at Roosevelt. Okay, it's crazy up there, man. And then, but the area that you want to explore is the Sierra Ancha. This is right here in Arizona. It's called the Sierra Ancha. No one really talks about Sierra Ancha, though. But I'm telling you, that is underestimated territory. Look at this. This is old Native American right there. Structures. This is how they were living, right? Right up against the cliff. But this area right here called the Sierra Anchas. And I'm telling you, I've shown you at least on this chat how many places that you could explore that are amazing. We talked about Madera Canyon. We talked about Sierra Ancha, the Chiricahuas. We talked about the Mogollon Rim. And I haven't even really talked about anything over to the west yet. And that doesn't even include how awesome the Kaibab National Forest is, Petrified National Forest, Coconino National Forest. I mean, Prescott, we already talked about kind of like going from Crown King. This is loaded, man. Michael says, no water, no water. We talked about that. We have water. It's just, we'll see. Okay, so from what I heard, they do plan to build a desalination plant in Rocky Point or near the Baja, right around here. Can anyone confirm any more information about whether or not the desal plant for desalination water is going to happen out here? I would personally rather them do it over here in California and pipe it in this way. It's going to be a beast to get through this mountain range right here. Building the pipes is going to be just an absolute challenge. Whereas right here, if they pipe it up from the Sea of Cortez or the Gulf of California, they could probably tap right into the Gila River and run it north through the Gila, and that's the best way to probably do it. Or maybe they'll do it right here. I mean, they could easily pipe it up. There's no real mountains out there because the Gila River has already kind of done all the work for them, leveling it out. But we'll see. We'll see. Thanks to someone who did a super chat, $9.99. By the way, if I don't see who you are who did that, I appreciate that because that's like a tip for the channel. Every time I see someone do a super chat, I'll try to shout you out, but I don't see who put this $9.99 in there. Someone just threw oh, Graham. If you're still there, Graham, thank you. I didn't even see it until now. All right, I'll see. Anyways, guys, I'm finished here, and we've been talking a lot. It's already 40 minutes. We'll see you guys on the next one.